Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode of the Modern Sales Mastery Show. As usual, I am Felipe Gonzalez, your event host for today and social media coordinator at Vengreso. I would like to welcome all of you for this week's episode. Please let us know in the comments right now, directly below, where you're tuning in from. So, without further ado, let's get the show rolling. Let me introduce to you our host and guest for today. First, we have our host, Vengreso's own Chief Visibility Officer and co-founder, Viveka von Rosen. And joining her today, we have our Chief Customer Officer here at Vengreso, Priya Sagdev. Ladies, take it away, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Felipe. Well, I am so excited because Priya is so smart.
Start.
No, seriously, what I love about Priya, it's so funny because we'll be, having conversations within our company, and Mario, who's our CEO, will ask a question and I'll answer it. And then Priya will come back with this answer that's so much more thoughtful and relevant and deeper. So she's our thinker.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that one. Yeah, I am a thinker.
So I'm glad that we have you on today's call. So we're going to do LinkedIn by the numbers again. So if you are listening, in the comments section, give us your favorite number from 1 to 101. And by the way, 101, 7, and 19 have already been taken. So we already covered that in our last session. So what we're going to do today is you're going to give me your favorite number between 1 and 101. I'm going to read the tip and I'm going to show you the how of it, but then Priya will dive deeper into the why of it. Sound like a good plan?
Yeah, amazing plan. Looking forward to that.
Awesome. While we are here, let's see who's on. Hello, JP. Hello, Juan. How are you? All right, we've got a number 57. Awesome. We're just going right into it. So, and Felipe, if you will put the link so people that can get my book for free, that would be awesome. The PDF version. I'm not going to email it, send you guys a book, but you can get the email version of it for free. All right, we got number 5. Oh, look at all these numbers. Jacob, we already have 7. I don't mind doing it again though. All right, 57. Let's take a look. Save your search URLs. Okay, so this is, and I'm going to go ahead and add this to the stream here. Boom, so we can take a look and go live, and then Priya can speak to this. I don't know if there's a reason in sales to speak to this, but if there is, you just let me know. So number 57, save the search URLs. When you've created a search on LinkedIn, you might have already created the link in a Word document or created your search in a Word document. So this is specifically for people who use free LinkedIn. And this is actually one of the things we talked about in our last session. With free LinkedIn, you don't get to save searches like you do in Sales Navigator. So we always tell people you want to create your search, right? You want to make sure to jump into the search box. You want to sort by people or company, etc. And then you want to click on all filters. That's going to pull in these additional search features. And what we tell people is when you do searches on titles, to write them first in a Word document. If you write them in LinkedIn and there's a little glitch, then you got to do it again. So if I was searching for people in, first or second level connections in the US who work at LinkedIn, and maybe I want to talk to people who are in marketing and advertising, and maybe I'm looking for someone who is a consultant. I'm fixing to pick up all our competitors here, but anyway, if I was going to do that, that's going to get me my results. Now, if I don't want to continue to do that search every time I'm looking for these particular results, all I have to do is grab this link and then save it. I can save it by putting it into an Excel file. I can save it by putting it into a notes file. I can save it by literally pulling, I'm a big Chrome user, obviously. I can create a folder just for my searches, but that keeps me from having to recreate this particular search every time I want to search on prospects like that. So this is more for people who have free LinkedIn. They're doing lots of searching on LinkedIn and they don't want to have to recreate this search every time they're looking for a particular buyer persona. Priya, any feedback on that, or is there anything, would you take this one step deeper as a seller?
Yeah, I think it's a great point because as sellers, one thing we are trying to reduce is the tedium activity we do, right? So
Yes.
data tells us that as sellers spend only 36% of their time in conversations with their customers. So 66% of the time is going into doing all the other activity you do to ensure your 34% time is an investment, right? So I'm looking at how do we reduce the 66% so we can get more time going into the 34%, right? And this is a great tip. Save the URL. You don't have to do the search all over again. And return on effort is going to be better.
Y'all see what I mean about how smart she is?
Oh, blush, blush.
I love that. All right. So thank you for number 57. And again, oh, Felipe, you're going to throw the link to my book so everybody can get a copy of it into chat. Oh, yep, you already did that. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, JP. Ben, lucky number 11. Let's take a look at lucky number 11. Boom. Oh, this is a good one. Be consistent with your branding. So I'll read it, I'll talk to it, and then Priya can do a deeper dive. Be consistent in all your branding. Once you are clear on who you are, what you do, and who you serve, create relevant and consistent written copy, visuals, and shared content everywhere on LinkedIn, including your profile picture. If you claim to be a serious person, don't share silly cat videos on your feed. You get the idea. So I think a lot of times what people do, right, is they use their, they might use their Facebook picture on LinkedIn, or the opposite of that, they don't have consistent branding from business branding from LinkedIn to their LinkedIn company page, to their Facebook company page, to their Twitter company page. It's kind of all over the place. Maybe they forget to update something. They're not using one of the socials as much, but you start to lose credibility when people go to your different online places like your website, your LinkedIn, etc., and it's all over the map. It's all different branding, it's all different pictures. It doesn't speak to that buyer persona. So Priya, take us a step even deeper on this.
Yeah. Now, so we talk about omni-channel presence when we're doing customer engagement. I think what we're talking here is about how are you omnipresent as well. And I
Ooh.
think that's what that consistency is. So if somebody looks up my profile, be it here, be it Twitter, there has to be this authentic persona. I think in the world of filters, today we are struggling to see how do we create more authenticity. I don't want to see someone, means I don't mind the beauty mode, but I don't want to see someone who doesn't look like what they look like, or I don't want to read about them something that they say but they don't mean it, and they said it only because it looks sassy on their profile. And I think as a seller, to me, this has always been most important because my clients know who I am, and I'm not trying to hide behind a fancy role or anything, but this is who Priya is. And that's important for me. So for me, branding is that. Branding is who are you and how do you present yourself? And how consistent is that across all the omni-channel presence that you've created?
I love that. I love that. So, Ben, thank you very much for number 11. All right, this is fun. We got a lot of feedback today. So, Lena, number 2, be clear on who you help. Lena, I love it. You are a mind reader. I literally just wrote a post about this. Let me see. Let me jump in there. I'll just show you. I literally just wrote a post about this. Be clear on who you help. Clarity is key to personal branding. So you must be clear on who you help and how you help others. The clearer you are, and the more likely are you, easy for me to say, the clearer you are, the more likely you are to convert your connections into conversations, and those conversations into customers. And this particular post is too many people get on LinkedIn and they're like, okay, 700 million, it's almost 800 million users now. I can help everyone on LinkedIn. And they feel like, oh, well, isn't a bigger audience better? And I kind of always joke and say, if you can help everyone with a face, you can't help anybody. So
Yeah.
what would you say, Priya, as a seller, why is knowing your buyer persona so important?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go back to that point I made earlier, right? 66% of the time is going into tedium tasks. And I don't think there's any data for it, but I would say 33% of that 66% is because we don't know who we want to reach out to. So
Yeah.
it's like shooting in the dark or, just playing the probability game. I will reach out to 5 people in an organization and I hope somebody would connect. I don't know how many emails you get, Viv, but I get so many emails, and I'm sure somebody sitting there has automated something and they've sent
Oh,
all the C-level people in the organization the same email. And I absolutely wish sellers would recognize that. So it's so important to identify who do you want to
yeah.
matter to,
Yeah.
right? Because if you cannot have everyone, you cannot
Yeah.
just have everyone. So I think in business as in sales, it's not just knowing what you say yes to, but it's important to know what you're saying no to.
That is boy, are there ever some clients I wish I'd said no to earlier on.
Don't get me started on that one.
Well, you were mentioning earlier omnichannel and where'd it go here? There's so many people interacting. Jacob said he likes number 96, so that works out really well. Send a personal email to your network. And so you can actually message. Now, I'm not saying automate this, and I'm not saying send an email to everyone in your network, but you are able, in many cases, if people haven't turned off that setting, you're able to send personal emails to people in your network, which is a great idea. Now, what I want to say about that is, don't automate. I know there's automation tools out there. You will get kicked off of LinkedIn if you pester too many of your connections on LinkedIn. And also, if you automate your messaging on LinkedIn, a lot of times you're sending irrelevant content because not everybody in your network does the same thing. So if I were to reach out to my network and talk about this awesome webinar I have, for women salespeople, and it's going out to 62% men in my network, it's not relevant to them, and I'm actually going to lose credibility. So for number 96, yes, absolutely. Go omnichannel, right? When you are engaging with your audience through LinkedIn, you can see if they're on, if you can get their email address, and you can always follow up with them, but do it individually. It's really so much better to have a quality relationship with a few people than spam hundreds, if not thousands of people in one fell swoop. So think about that omni-channel way of conversing. And Priya, you already talked about this, but if we want to dive a little bit deeper about finding those emails and how to do that.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I'd add to that is adapt your messaging. So it's not saying
Yes.
don't use templates, right? We don't have enough time. We want to get those templates there. We need structure. We need automation. All of that is good stuff, right? It's
Yep.
making us effective. But adapting a message or personalizing the message to make it more human is important, right? So, and it doesn't take long. If you
No.
are to reach out to people, just quickly pick up something that would connect to them so that they feel this message speaks to me and is not just another email blast. And that makes all the difference.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can go to the profile. Here I am on Priya's profile. First of all, I go to her contact info. You're like me. You've turned your email off because you're just getting way too much spam. But someone could actually text you, right? Um, but also, I can go down. I can look at the content that Priya is sharing. I can see what we have in common. Obviously, we worked at the same company. I can see, what groups we have in common, people we have in common. There's so much there that I can pull into a conversation when I reach out on a different channel to engage with Priya.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, let's keep going. This is fun. Oh, we should run a commercial though, shouldn't we? So, Felipe, when you are ready, go ahead and run our quick little commercial, and then we'll come back to number 99.
We're not sweating our numbers. We're not struggling to prospect or find customers. We're not even sweating into quarter. Because we're growing a foundation of A-level sales talent. We're rethinking successful habits. And we're rethinking our entire digital prospecting strategy. We're going to break records and explode our sales funnel. We're doing things differently, and we're doing things better. Better than before. Because this program showed us how to not only excel at sales, but how to become a prospecting master.
All right, time is flying. So, flying right by. So, next one, 99. Thank you, Miguel, for asking us to look at number 99. This is about creating a checklist, which allows you to put a cadence in action. And I love this because I always liken, I'll read it first. Create a checklist. Create a checklist of daily, weekly, monthly, and one-time only actions. Daily actions should include reaching out to your best connections, sharing posts, as well as responding to messages, people who viewed your profiles or commented on or shared your posts or updates. Every week, you should write a post or several times a week and connect with new prospects. Every month, you should do a quick review of your profile and make sure it's up to date, plus way, way more things than that. With LinkedIn, especially as you get started, it's just like the gym. If you don't schedule your time and if you don't have a list of exercises that you need to do, it's not going to get done. And you're going to have an unhealthy LinkedIn presence. But if you schedule the time and you have a checklist and a cadence of activities, all of a sudden you can start to get stronger on the LinkedIn. Now, I know cadences are so important for salespeople, are they not?
Always, always. And I think on platforms like LinkedIn, specifically today, where we're all talking about digital, virtual, social selling, everybody is getting onto the platform, right? So you said almost 800 million people there. Now, I always say this to sales leaders who come from my era who say, I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm like, all right, it's like you're in a room full of 800 million people, and then you're thinking about what's my behavior in this room,
Yeah.
right? So, are you going to go stand by the window with your drink in your hand because you don't like talking to people? and then say, how come I don't have a connection strategy? How come my network doesn't grow? Or are you going to put yourself out there? Are you going to be consistent in your behavior? Are you
Yeah.
going to do this every day, every other day, so that people get a sense of your rhythm? They start looking forward to your post. I can tell you, and I'm not even the one who posts every day,
Yeah.
but if I don't post for a week, I will have someone or the other hit me up and say, hey, all okay at your end? Haven't heard from you for a while. Right? So that's building a relationship
Yeah.
without making a sales pitch. People are already expecting you to put something out there. And that's so amazing to be able to do it on platforms like these. And so cadence is not only about your cadence when you're running your outbound strategy, but it's
Mhm.
also important for building that consistent behavior and blocking 30 minutes in your calendar, morning, afternoon, just getting to LinkedIn saying, in the morning, I will create search URLs. In the afternoon, I will go engage with my prospects is good enough. Just
Yeah.
putting that in your calendar, right?
Exactly, but just get it in your calendar and
True.
have a list of things that you can do. It's I love that you said that about sharing weekly, whatever it is, whatever cadence you want to create so that your audience begins to expect it. And I was talking, it's actually what sparked my post that I wrote this morning. I was talking to a prospect and he was frustrated with LinkedIn because his buyer persona is not easy to find within a LinkedIn search, right? It's not easy to see CEOs who have children who are graduating from high school, right? There's no search that you can do within, we can search for CEOs, but we don't know if they have kids and we don't know if they're graduating from high school. So that's a really hard search or an impossible search to do on LinkedIn. So to your point, Priya, you want information that attracts, you want those inbound leads. So what we talked about was start creating content that speaks specifically. You might even say, hey, are you a CEO with a kid who's graduating high school who doesn't know what he wants to do or she wants to do when they grow up?
Yeah.
Here's a couple helpful tips to start the conversation so that you're
Or
actually speaking exactly to your buyer and they come across that, and now you've managed to attract your buyer, even if you can't find them in a LinkedIn search.
yeah, polls are a great way to engage in that space, right?
Yeah.
So posts, polls, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Love polls. Love polls.
Yeah.
We got
We're
polls and
both
polls. Yeah.
at the same time. But I was just going to add to that to say, I think, like any platform, you need to have a strategy, right? And
Yeah.
once you know what you want to get to, then how do you get there is the easier part. And that's why
Yeah.
I, again, love that cadence because it pulls you out of the operational stuff you're doing and it gives you time to think and say,
Yeah.
okay, what should I be writing today? What should I be looking for today? Right? It forces you to think. And when it forces you to think, you're going to think strategically because otherwise you just get busy in the humdrum of the day and the day goes by and you're like, oh, where did my day
Oops.
go again? Is it Friday yet?
I know, exactly. I know. I and here's a tip. You want to post earlier on in the day. And because I this is so typical of our CEO, Mario Martinez, who I know is doing another webinar right now, so he's not listening in. But I posted something a little later one evening. And so I wasn't responding to the comments on my post because I was sleeping. And Mario was like, well, either you have to stop sleeping or you have to post earlier in the day because you want to respond to folks within an hour or two of posting. I'm like, I'm sleeping. He didn't care. So
Yeah, because he doesn't sleep.
he doesn't sleep. He's a clone and he doesn't sleep. So yeah, that's another little ninja trick. You want to post earlier in the day so you can actually be responsive. LinkedIn sees that and opens up your post a little bit more to a bigger algorithm. So then more people start to see your content and that attracts more potential buyers to your content and to your profile. And that allows you potentially to have more conversations.
Absolutely.
Just stay up all night and respond. All right. We have number 23, Manuel Hernandez. Awesome. Add publications. This one's really good. And I will admit, I have totally dropped the ball on this one myself. But there is a section of your profile that allows you to add publications to it. So let me pull that up again. If you go to the more section of your profile, I'm just looking over. Nope, sorry. When you go to the add section of your profile, and you come down to the accomplishments, I believe that's where they are. Yeah. If you come down to accomplishments, you'll see where you can add publications. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm not an author. I'm not a writer. I don't blog regularly. But if you are, let me go back down. There we go. Publications, they're in here somewhere. There they are. But you don't necessarily have to be. So if you were ever interviewed in a blog, if you were ever interviewed on a podcast, if you ever contributed to a blog post within your company, anything like that, you can 100% add to your profile, and it helps to build credibility. And by the way, it also gives you link back. So I can click on see publication and it's going to link people right back. And that helps to build credibility as well. So think about any type of publication that you have been a part of in any way, shape, or form. And you can add that very easily to your LinkedIn profile. And like I said, one thing's there we go. What it'll allow you to do, share the title of the blog post, podcast, article, book, etc. Put in the publisher, the publication date. You can add other authors. So if I did a blog post with Priya, I would add Priya in there as well. She sees that too. It then builds credibility because now I'm aligned with Priya. And like I said, I can put the URL and I can just literally copy and paste a portion of that blog post, book, article, etc. in the description, which then makes my profile more findable because of those keywords. So publications are very important. Just Google yourself. Literally, just Google yourself and see if there's something out there that you might have forgotten about that you can add to the publication section of your profile. So, Priya, anything you want to add to our salespeople for that?
Yeah. So firstly, this is something I still need to do on my
I
profile.
know, especially since you have your own blog post.
Yeah. And so I think, a lot of times when you speak to people and everybody on LinkedIn says, I want to be a thought leader, right?
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the most used, if not abused word of at least 2021. I don't know if it's going to continue the run this year as well. So, how do you be a thought leader?
Yeah.
That's what people should be looking at. Who invited you to speak? What did you talk about? What do you stand for? What are your thoughts about things? This is another thing that I see often, that specifically when I think about sellers, they like to share a lot of content, but they don't give it a commentary. People don't care about content. People care about what do you think about that content, right?
Yes.
So if you read an HBR, what are you thinking about that article? I want to know that, right? People don't care about anything else. So I think it becomes just so important to put yourself out there. If you want to be a thought leader, you have to put yourself out there. And thanks for putting out my blog there.
And Felipe, I'm putting the link in. Yes, 100%. And here's the thing, like, obviously we feature Priya on our Vengreso blog, but Priya was a thought leader before she came to us, and she has her own blog. And 100%, if you are a thought leader or wanting to be a thought leader, wanting to position yourself as a subject matter expert, and maybe you work for a company that doesn't have a blog, doesn't want you to contribute to the blog, for heaven's sakes, feel free to create your own blog where you can share information, and then of course from that you can pull that into publications. But it's so easy these days. I mean, there's 100 YouTube videos on how to create your own blog, and there's a ton of free platforms where you can create your own blog and really position yourself as an expert in your industry, as a thought leader in your industry, which then builds credibility. Are you seeing some common themes coming on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what I
Absolutely.
love about Priya's blog is it opens up, and it shows you that I don't want to say that. Well, yes, the deeper, that which is deeper within, within Priya, that's above and beyond just being a sales lead, the sales leader she is. So I would strongly recommend considering finding a way to express your expertise through LinkedIn. You can also use LinkedIn articles, right?
Yeah.
LinkedIn has its own blog, as it were, called Articles, which is easy enough. You just go to, let's see here, we just go to LinkedIn. Then I'll stop talking and let you speak again, Priya. But if you come here to write an article, you can actually create a blog post within LinkedIn itself. So anyway, anything you want to add to that, Priya?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add is that I speak to a lot of sellers and they say, but I don't know what to write, or I don't know how to write. And that's where I want to say, you don't have to create content. You could be
Yeah.
curating that content as well, right? People
Yeah.
are not asking you to write something original, but what's your view about it? You may have read something and you say, wow, this is important because blah blah blah. Put that out there. That's what
Yeah.
people want to know. So I think
Yeah.
it's getting over that hurdle in your head that I don't know what to say. Come on, find out. We are in a absolute content world today, and we
Yeah.
produce I don't know how many billions terabytes of
Oh,
content
Lordy.
a day, right?
Exactly. Well, and to Priya's point, like the reason I wrote a blog post today is because I had a prospecting call, and the thing about not knowing your buyer persona came up again. And I'm like, okay, obviously I still need to keep writing about this, because obviously people are still having issues with it. And so I created a blog post from it. I had no intention of writing a blog post on that this morning, but as sellers, you probably get the same question, other than how much is this going to cost me, over and over and over again. Use those questions as seeds to plant your blog post, your article, your whatever. And that's what I'd recommend. Okay, there's one more person. I know we're over time, but this one's a pretty easy one. So let me see. It was Nabila. Nabila had number 27. Love your name. And that goes back to branding. So that was about branding your background image on LinkedIn. And so you can see, right, when you go to our profiles, easy for me to say, when you go to our profiles within Vengreso, what you will notice is we all have very similar looking profiles. They're not identical, but they are similar. So if I were to jump into our company page here, view as a member, go to all of our, where are we? There we go. Go to all of our employees. If you were to jump into, well, now we all our contractors up front. There we go. If you were to jump into our actual employees, what you would notice is we all have that similar branding on our profiles, and that helps make our company more cohesive. So I would say, as a seller, if you don't have something from this, like this from your company, go talk to the marketing department and see what they can create for you. Any final words on branding?
Yeah, just that this is like having prime property available and not putting a fancy hoarding there.
Yeah.
So That's all I'm going to say. That you've got prime real estate available on your LinkedIn profile. Why would you not use it?
Exactly. Back in the day, company pages were so cool because the company page banner, you could have up to 3, and they were hyperlinked, and they would allow you to click through to different pages on your profile. They, of course, got rid of that because it was really cool, but but that was so neat. So yeah, now these are not clickable, but you still have prime real estate. It's still above the fold.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I know there's one more person though. So let's see. Number 34, and that's it. I swear. But Katlego, you came on our YouTube channel, so I definitely want to honor that. And okay. So yeah, this is a good one. We talk about your brand, your profiles being a resource rather than a resume for your buyers. And one of the things that you can do is share presentations, share documents. So there's this little section now called featured. And is this mine or yours? This is yours. So within featured, you can add blog posts, you can add ebooks, you can add white papers, you can promote posts that you've done and add them to this featured section, which really helps to make your LinkedIn profile a resource rather than a resume. And it's really easy to do. When you go to your profile, just go to add section, and it's here. It's called featured. Just click on that. Come on, there we are. Just click on that so you can see. You can add posts, articles, links, and media. Media could be a PowerPoint presentation, a very short video, etc. And you literally just click on that, add your media, and it's going to show up. There we go. It's going to show up right here in this section. And by the way, if you're wondering how I got movement, in both my my posts today and in my featured section, GIFs. GIFs are what you do. If you use a GIF, it adds movement to this featured section, and that really helps it to stand out. So that's your little secret ninja trick today. Anything else you want to add about adding content to your profile?
Yeah, no, I think I've already said that. I'm saying it again and again, but it's really about being authentic and putting yourself out there with what you share, and just doing it consistently and keeping it afresh. Because sometimes what really is sad, that sometimes you go there and people have content which is 2 years old. And I'm not saying you
Yeah.
shouldn't have 2 years of content, but you should also have refreshed it, because maybe 2 years ago we were not in a pandemic and you wrote about something that made sense about networking events, and it's no more relevant today.
Absolutely. That is so true. I have people, and it's common, folks. Like if you were to look at your profile right now, if you were to look at the contact info section, you might have company links in there that you don't even work for anymore. If you were to go to your featured section or even the media on your current experience, you might have information there that is not relevant to what's happening today. And that can cost you credibility. And it just doesn't take that much effort to pop something more relevant into your profile.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are over time because we got more numbers, and I wanted to honor everyone who was engaging with us today. But Priya, any final words from you?
No, I think the only thing I would say is, be it LinkedIn or be it YouTube or be it any of these platforms, the platforms are great. But the fact is, you need to be consistent in engaging with those platforms. You can't just create a profile and then when someone asks you, are you on LinkedIn? And people say, yeah. And then you go look at their profile and you're like, really? You don't even have an update. Your picture's not updated. You're not talking about what you're doing right now. It just takes it away rather than adding to your persona. So I think the important thing is that whatever platform you're using, and it doesn't have to be LinkedIn, whatever, if it's YouTube, it's Twitter, ensure that you're keeping it fresh. ensure you keep yourself updated and look at what are the new features that are coming in. And this webinar has been all about that, right? That's really the beauty of these platforms.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, and because it speaks to next week's presentation, you said we talked at the very beginning of this live about productivity, about how much time sellers are wasting, and knowing that we've actually created some software called Fly Message, which allows you to type less and sell more. So next week, we're going to be doing a LinkedIn Live / Modern Sales Mastery Live, all about that. Mario, our CEO, is going to be the host of that one. I'm going to play let's be honest. Felipe is going to play a quick commercial about what Fly Message is, but you will 100% want to join us same time, same place next week, because it's more than just a text expander on steroids. There's so many different use cases for our Fly Message text expander, and you'll be learning about those in our next session. So I hope you'll join us same time, same place next week. Thank you, Priya, for jumping on. It was completely last minute, folks. You wouldn't have known that because she is such a professional, but you brought, I think, a whole extra layer of depth to today's session. So I want to thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. Felipe, go ahead and roll that Fly Message footage.